Good evening, everybody, and welcome on this stream. If you were on the stream yesterday, then you know that I'm working on a package called laravel-model-cleanup, and I'm busy creating a third major version for that. So I'm streaming this because, yeah, I like the mob coding kind of thing, where when I make mistakes, I can ask for some help in the chat. And yesterday there were some pretty helpful persons in the chat that helped me making the package better. So it's kind of informal. I haven't rehearsed anything. We'll just see how it goes. So let me share my screen. If there is anything wrong with the audio or the video, let me know in the chat. I'm going to assume that everything is fine. So let me start local screen sharing so you can see my screen like that. And then we can continue. Now, wait, let me go back to the full camera for a bit, because I am a little bit thirsty and I'm a Belgian, so I have got a beer here. It's called a Sportzot. It's really good. It's alcohol free. It's basically the best Belgian alcohol free beer. It's called Sportzot. I'm going to have one while we code. Okay, and now we're going to the local screen sharing. Yeah, it's a different angle than yesterday. I think that this angle is maybe slightly better. Then you don't see like the mess behind me. Let's see. Let's maybe give a short introduction for people that didn't watch yesterday. So I'm working on Laravel model cleanup. Using the package, yeah, I've already altered this example a little bit, but using this package, you can add a function to a model, and then you can define behavior on how it should be cleaned up. I want to clean up everything older than a certain amount of days or older than a certain carbon instance. This is basically my notebook. Right now it looks a little bit different. I think right now we've implemented as you get a, let me go to the markup or the markdown mode. I think we have a cleanup config object that you get here, and you can basically add methods or call methods on that config, and the package, it will clean up however you want. Yesterday we implemented older than days and older than, and also the query. This is called scope now, I think. And today I want to add the chunk by and the stop when. And maybe add the psalm tests. So, good. Let's see. The first thing that I want to do is make sure that all the tests currently pass. Maybe let me show you some of the tests as well. So, what these tests do is they test the behavior of the entire package. So all the cleanup functionality is triggered by an artisan command. And what we basically do is we configure a certain model. I should start here. We seed some models for a period of days. We configure the cleanup procedure. We execute the command. And then we assert that certain models exist and that certain models have been deleted. And that's how these tests work. So that's the intro. So yeah, let's start working. Let's try adding the chunk by and the stop when method. So I'm going to the cleanup config, and I wonder if I should add the behavior first or add a test first. And I also wonder how am I going to test this, because that chunk by I think that we could be able to make assertions on how many queries were executed. I think we can do that. But you know what? Let's start with the implementation. Maybe there's one more thing that I want to do before going into the into any added features, and that's this. If you were here yesterday, then I was a little bit bothered that you don't get any completion on model here. We have type entered it as gets cleaned up, which is an interface that just has that cleanup thing. And I'm thinking that mostly you will perform this on models, and it would be nice if PHP Storm also would know that it's a model. Right now it only has cleanup. And I think the way that we can do this is by adding a mixin type in here. And we can say that this is actually an eloquent model as well. So what this mixin typeint will do, or doc-block will do, is it will say to PHP Storm, treat this as if it were this class. All these classes are also available on this. And I think with any luck, let me go to the event, that we now have all all model methods here auto-completed as well. So I kind of like that mix-in kind of thing. So let's already commit that because I like that already. Okay, let's go to the cleanup config and add a chunk by. So we have a chunk. Maybe we can just do chunk instead of chunk by. Chunk, and it takes a an integer. How am I going to call this one? Maybe chunk by here. We're going to make it chainable. This chunk by is chunk by. Return this. And then here we should add it on our object as well. So this is an integer chunk by, which can be null if you don't want to chunk things. And that's, I guess, basically everything we need on the config. Now we should take a look at how we should implement it in the command. So this is like our recipe for the command. So we are going to take every model in the config. We are going to instantiate the model, and then we are going to pass each model to the cleanup method of the command. And here we need to do things differently, I think. Cheers. So here we are going to chunk it. So let me take a look at how I did it in Odir. Because in Odir I actually wrote a command to do that manually, and this is what triggered me to create a new major version of the package. So here we are going to limit it, call delete, and then when there are some number of things left that I still need to delete, if it's higher than 1,000, then we're going to delete it again. And I said this yesterday, but I'm going to repeat it. I don't do is 0 here because the runs table in Odir is a very lively table, and thousands of runs get created every minute, almost every second. So by the time that running we do this check, this will never, or is is not likely to ever be null, that number of runs deleted, because there are always new runs being created. So we need a way to do that here too. Okay. How are we going to tackle this? So we are going to limit it and add a loop there. So I'm guessing that this whole cleanup procedure, we should, I think we need to loop it. To loop it maybe too. There are actually multiple ways to do this. So we have the number of deleted records here. I wonder where I should put like the looping logic. I could add it here, but I like to have this nicely clean. Let me think a bit about like how I want to structure this. Cleanup config. Right now it's chunk by. So this is basically our limit that we should use on our query, right? Hey Nuno, thanks for passing by. We should do a stream, Nuno, if you're still here, where we use Pest for this test suite. Maybe that's something we could do together. Could be fun. Or maybe it could just be like a stream of yours and I will watch my favorite streamer, you. What am I going to do? The easiest thing that we can do here already, I think, is if the cleanup config, if we have like a chunk by, then we need to limit the query, right, with cleanup config chunk by, right? And then we need to have like a level for that loop. I'm just going to write some dummy code because I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to call it maybe cleanup loop. It's a very bad name, but we'll see. This is now basically my notebooky kind of thing. So if I want to loop it, I basically have to do it at least once. So I think it's indeed a do while loop. Do while, and I think number of records deleted. I'm thinking, we need to have a way to let the user configure this as well, right? And we need the default implementation too. So maybe I can do that already here. So how did I name it in the README? Stop when? Yeah, stop when. And we should have like a closure here. Stop when. Let's do a stop when here. Let's also return self. Turn this, stop when, we need to do that here. Public closure, stop when. And I'm actually going to initialize it here in the constructor, so we always are going to stop. So we always have like a default implementation, and I think the default implementation is we accept a function int number of records deleted. Are we going to do that? Yeah, maybe we can. And we are going to stop by default if the number of records deleted is equal to 0, right? That's a good place to stop. When you've deleted nothing, don't try to do it again. Here we have closure. Here we don't have closure in the name. I don't like that type in the name here. Is scope good enough here? Yeah, maybe it is. I'm just going to rename it to scope. And now we have a default implementation of stop when. So we can use that in our command as well here. Hey, Lisbeth. I actually am thinking if like stop when is a good one. Maybe you should have like a continue while. Or maybe we should have it like a second argument here, so that these two really belong together. Because if we have like what are we going to do if we don't chunk and we have a stop when? That just doesn't make sense, right? So maybe we should just use it as like a second argument of chunk by, and then we don't need to have like a name for the function here. Maybe I like that better. Okay, let's do that. So we have chunk here. And now I can think, do I want to have... do I have... continue here? Would I make this positive or negative? Stop when. I think I want to have it positive. I think when in doubt, it's good to have like the positive things. Continue while. Yeah, maybe that's better. So maybe we can do this. So we don't need that continue. We don't need that function here. So we have a continue while. And here we are going to set continue while is continue while. But if you didn't set that, then we'll use something of our own here. Maybe that's better. And we're going to continue while there are, by default, if there were records deleted. Yeah, that's maybe better. And this is like continue while. And now it can be, yeah, if you didn't call that function, we should also have it as like the default. Maybe I can just put it here, protected function, default, continue while, something like that. It gives us a closure. return this. Or maybe if you didn't set it, that's maybe better. We're just going to set it here if continue while wasn't passed. Yeah, I like that. I like that even better. Yeah, so if continue while, then we want to do this. And then in the constructor, we can still do this. Then we don't need that default while kind of thing. Continue while, so we always have like a closure here, like that. Yeah, I think I like this. Okay, back to the command level. So here we can have while continue, and here we will get that model, right? It gets cleaned up. And this is a model. Yeah, we only know the config already. We only know it's here, so we don't have it in this function. Clean up config. So I can only do it from here on, right? So yeah, let me just move it to this level. So do while clean up config, continue while. I'm going to execute that. And here we have like the number of deleted records. I'm just going to give it a false value now. Number of deleted records. I should put this like in brackets probably, so I can execute what's inside of that instance variable. And then this should be in the loop, right? Let's move that in the loop and see how that looks like. So we're going to do it always once at least. We're going to chunk it by limits. Maybe this is already good. Maybe this is what I wanted. Okay, let me check the comments and take a little sip of the alcohol-free beer. Oh, making a mess here. How many hours do you a day do you spend coding? Well, today was a holiday for me, so this is actually my first hour coding. I think in general, yeah, it depends a little bit on what's my workload for the week. I can't say, but I do like coding in the evenings because I do find it relaxing to do. I think continue while could just be an integer. Could you explain that a little bit more, Ari? Why do you think that? Could you give me an example? Maybe you're right. Maybe it could be an integer. I think I choose to have like a closure so you can define some more interesting behavior should you want to. Let's see if this already works, or at least if this didn't break anything. Yeah, our tests are still fine, so this is already good. And let's add a test for this. What is this here? This is a real test, and this is like a helper kind of method. I'm going to move this to the base test class for now. This one isn't important. Import class. Yeah. Like that. It can delete, how did I call it here? Old records? Yeah. It can delete old records in a chunked way. Like that. And maybe let's just copy the first example here. And now we can modify that one a little bit. So this one, yeah, I should have like the test annotation. Like that. All right, that's nice. But now we want to delete older than today's, but I also want to chunk it by 2. And doesn't chunk by exist? Just chunk. I don't know if chunk is like a good name for this. If this is clear that we're going to do it in a chunked way. Yeah, we'll see. Let's just test the behavior. So the behavior is already good. Like the records that I want to delete are deleted, but now I want to know if there are multiple queries being used to delete this. So there's actually a way to do that, I think. I think it's enable query log. Like that. Does this test pass? Yeah. And I think, how do I get the queries here? Because I know I can listen and I can just have a callback, but is there a way to actually get like the queries that are executed without using that listen thing? Listening for query events. Let's just consult the documentation. DB listen. You have this DB listen here. Maybe that just is the way to do it. Is there here anything about enable query log? Enable query log. What am I going to do here? Let's just see if I can already get like the queries. I think this is executed query or query executed. That's it. It's an event. Like that. And let's see what's in that event. I think we have like an SQL thing here. Let's see what we already get. Yeah, and here we can see like deletion queries. Let me check like the comments if there is like a better way to get all the queries. Get query log in the 4.2 days. Hey Robin, welcome back. And then call get query log. Okay, let's maybe test it out. So let's do it maybe here. Get query log, and let's see what we actually get from that. Like that. Ah yeah, and here I get everything as an array, and I need to enable it, right? Because otherwise I won't get anything here. So yeah, I need to do that. Let's see how I want to structure this. This might actually be like maybe a good separate package to have like assertions on which queries were executed. Let's first do it naively and then restructure it a little bit better. So here we are going to get the queries. I've re-enabled it. Yeah. Collect all the queries. And I'm going to map it to the form where it's easy to make assertions on. So what was actually in this query? It's some kind of object, I guess. Can I scroll back? Ah, yeah. It's just an array. Yeah, it's just an array. So this is an array with query properties. Return. Maybe let's just do it a little bit shorter. Query, I think it's good enough. Query. I thought it was SQL, but it's actually query. Maybe let's just do query properties back. Let's see what we have now, if this is already better. Yeah, and now we can make some assertions on that, I think. So these are like executed queries. And now I want to do something like this. Assert deletion. Assert delete queries executed for. That's how I want to use this. So I'm going to add that method. We are going to put this logic in that helper function. Expected deletion queries. Expected deletion query count. Yeah. Here I'm going to filter out the queries, the ones that start with something. So they start, so this is the query, and they should start with delete. And I want to count them. So actual deletion query counts, like that. And now we can do here assert equals. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. Expected count, and here actual count. Expected count, actual count. And if there's something wrong, I'm going to add a assertion message here, custom one. So expected expected count, deletion, delete queries, but actual count, deletion, delete queries were executed, something like that. Pum, 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 pum. I think this is good. And I want to hide this implementation detail. You know what? I'm just going to put it like here in the general setup. Don't do this in like a real project because this takes like a performance hit, but I think for like a test suite as small as this one, it's negligible, the time that it takes here. I don't need to enable the query log for the other tests, but I think it's nice to have it out of the way, you know. Would this already work? So we have 4 delete queries, right? I'm going to think in a bit if that is really like the correct amount. Expected, but 15 delete queries were executed. I think there's something wrong here with this chain. So let's just dd here in this chain to see what we have. Insert in filter. Is the filter wrong? Yeah, so after filtering, we have like the other things here as well. So what's going on here? I made a stupid mistake, I guess. So if the string starts with deletes, you should return true, and I want to filter it out. Did I drink too much beer? No, because it's alcohol free, so I still have my mind. Probably some of you are screaming right now, like, Freek, what are you doing? Let's see if this actually like returns true and false. Yeah, let's take a peek at the chat to see. Starts with, yeah. What is start actually? Yeah, it just appends that. Okay. Stupid mistake. Starts with like that. This one, yeah. Okay. And now I have my 4 deletion queries. I'm going to remove this. Let's count it. And our test passes. This is pretty cool. Now I can move this one also to the test case to hide it a little bit. I imported str. It is still good. Is everything still good? Yep. Okay, and now let's think if we really like expected like 4 queries. I think what I already want to see is if I don't chunk it here, then I want to have like 1 query, right? So let's do that. Expected 4 delete queries, but 2 delete queries were executed. Yeah, probably it were 2 deletion queries because we have that loop, right? How can I improve that? So the problem is that or I don't know if it's a problem actually. What happens is that we have this continue while, and so the first pass is that we delete like a number of records. So we do it again, and then we try to delete again and see if it's 0. I wonder if it's better to count the query first. I don't know if it's a real problem that we have two queries. Yeah, I'm going to treat it as this. Now, I think it's okay to have like two deletion queries for now. Let's chunk it again so it's green, and if I chunk it in another way, we should have like a higher number, right? Yeah, now we have like 6. So there are 4 queries, so it actually deletes 3 times, and is that what we expect? So we have 10 records to start with, and we have 5 left, and we take 3 passes to delete 2 records, and probably in the last pass we delete 1 record. So I think the result is good. I think it's correct that we have like 4 deletion queries. I think if I chunk it by 1, we have like 6, right? And we have indeed 6 records that were deleted, or 5 records that were deleted. I think it's good. I hope in the chat that you agree that it's also good. Instead of starts, because I think you're now prefixing the existing string. That's a comment from a while ago, so we already fixed that. So I think this is good. I don't like that I have to think about this test that much to know if it's okay. Maybe I can rewrite this test a little bit better. I wonder if I could have like another test class where I just see things a little bit more easier, where I don't do that add days thing and for previous days. A comment from Tom Janssen: shouldn't continue while's default be something like number of records is greater or equal to chunk, so it checks if the number of deleted records is the same as the amount it could chunk by. That's interesting. So let's maybe explore that a little bit. So basically what Tom suggests is this. I'm going to copy it over. So if the number of records deleted, right, is bigger or equal than the chunk, then you should... Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so if we deleted less records, then we know like you've deleted it all. Yeah, I like that. Thanks, Tom. That's a good suggestion. Let's go with it. So cleanup config, continue while, the default implementation. But here we don't know the chunk size. I wonder if this is actually a good idea to have like always that default implementation here. You know what? Let's just first do what Tom suggested, because I think I like that. So Here, what we are going to do, if there's a continue while, we are going to use that, and otherwise we are going to keep deleting if the number of records deleted is greater than or equal to the chunk by size here. Chunk by, like that. And I guess we can convert this to a short closure, but yeah, it won't fit. I don't know if I like this short closure. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it like this. So then this continue while, it could be null if you didn't use that. So we don't need the constructor anymore. In the command here, or maybe we could have like a default, and that's just not continuing because we didn't set like a loop. Do I like that? Let's see how it would look like. So continue while is a function, and it just returns false. Just don't continue deleting. And having like this behavior has like the benefit that if you don't set a chunk by, that we actually will have like one deletion query, which I like, I think. Let's see what the test suite says of this. Yeah, it has one deletion query less, I guess. Oh, there were 2 errors. Must not be accessed, so that's probably... why is that? Continue on must not be accessed before initialization, but I actually am initializing it. But this is not a constructor, right? Sorry about that. Like that. Let's see. I expect 1 failure, the last one, and we should have like a query less. Yeah, failed asserting that 3 matches expected 4. Cleanup test. So let's go down. So here we have 1 query less. So that's kind of nice. And you know what? Let's also make like an assertion if we don't chunk, that we actually have 1 deletion query. That's also like a good assertion to have, that if we ever change the implementation, we want an implementation where we delete everything in one go. Yeah, and everything just passes. I like that. Thanks, Tom. Let's see if there are any more comments here. I think there might be an edge case when the remaining record count is the amount you chunk by. Not sure though. No, because if the remaining amount is the chunk by method, if it's equal, then we are going to delete, then we are going to continue again. So I think it's good. Okay. Let me think what we need to test or implement next. So I kinda like it already. Let's maybe do a test where we actually stop, or where we have like a custom stop method or continue when method, and see how that goes. I'm already going to commit this because these changes are good. It can delete old records in a chunked way. Let's just copy it all. Yeah, it can use a custom continue while closure when deleting old records in a chunked way. So here we can have another closure, and it accepts the number of records deleted. I actually wonder if we should give that function some more arguments so you can have like more things to yeah, you can have like more advanced kind of stopping things. Maybe we want to have like the model here so you can use like model count, like if we stay below this, then this count, then it's good. Let me get some liquid inspiration. Model. Should I pass the model here? No, I'm going to keep it very simple, I think. Yeah, if anybody has like a need for having something extra here, then they should PR it, because I mostly code things for what I want to use myself, and I want like the number of runs deleted here. That's what I need for my project, so I'm going to just do that. I'm going to return true here. This is like something interesting, right? Because if you return something invalid here, then this will run forever, which we don't want, right? Should the package protect against that? So if nothing was deleted, then yeah, then it should stop, because yeah, you're potentially going to shoot yourself in the foot with this. So we need to tackle that as well. Maybe let's do that first. Command. And I could do like something compound here, like number of records bigger than 0, but I'm going to make a dedicated function for this. Should continue deleting, and it gives me a boolean back. And what should this one get? It should get the number of records deleted, number of the number of records deleted, a closure, continue while. Yeah. And here we can do this. So here we get, or maybe I should pass like the function. I don't need the brackets anymore. What's this problem? Yeah. So if this one isn't true, then we are going to return false. But we're also going to return false if the number of records deleted is 0. So you don't shoot yourself in the foot with this. Should continue deleting the number of deleted records, and then the cleanup config continue while closure, like that. Maybe we also want to have that while very short. Let's format it a little bit. Yeah, I think I like this. Let's see what the tests think. The tests don't like this. 2 failures. Did I do something wrong here? So if you shouldn't continue, then return false. Let's see if anybody's screaming at me. A strict comparison somewhere. Ah, yeah, of course. Thanks, Mohammed. So if it isn't 0, then we should continue. Still not good. Ah, yeah, but it's only like the number of queries here in that test where we are working on. So here we know now that we aren't shooting ourselves in the foot here. It will stop deleting when no records are being deleted anymore. I think this is like a nice protection to have. Okay, but now we should still have like a test for if we have like custom stop closure here. So let's do that. Oh, I actually overwrote the test name that I wanted to use. So yeah, I want to copy this test name. Wait, am I doing this right? Yeah. So this is the test name that I want to use. I'm going to copy this test here. And I'm going to use that test name again. So this is the test that I want to... Here I want to use like number of records deleted. What am I going to do here? So number of records deleted will be 2, right? You know what? Let's just do false. Let's do false. And yeah, then every record should still be there. Or yeah, we only deleted like 2 days. The 29th and the 28th, and then we said we are going to stop deleting. So it's the right behavior. The only thing that I didn't test is if number of records deleted is actually being passed here. I'm guessing it is. I'm guessing that this will dump 2. And we do, but do I actually want to make that clear in the test as well? I could do something like assert equals and say like I expect that number to be 2. Let's see if that actually works. So if I put in 3 here, I should have like an error there. Yeah, we do. Turn false. And yeah, I'm just going to add these days here. 27, 26, wait, 25, 25, like that. And yeah, I have, yeah, 1 deletion query because I stopped after that. And yeah, that's basically like the test for our chunk and that extra closure. I kind of like it. Okay, let's push this. Some conflicts because I probably forgot doing a formatting here, and the GitHub action did some formatting. Which is the right one? I'm thinking this is like the implementation that I want, right? Yep. Let's format the code. GPO v3, and that's it. Okay, I think we are going to have like a 5-minute break, so my brain can recover a little bit. I think after the break we can do one of 2 things, and I'm going to let people in the chat decide what we are going to do. I'm thinking of 2 things. The first one is adding Psalm here, because for the newer packages I use Psalm to test. To do some static analysis here. So that's one option that we can have. The other option that we can do is something cool. Right now, you should, on every test model or on every model, you should have like a cleanup procedure, right? You should have like this cleanup config. And I wonder if it wouldn't be cool if we have like a way to have a default configuration for all models where you implement this gets cleaned up. I'm thinking about like something like this, default cleanup config, and that you can use like a new cleanup config here. Let me import this. and that you can do here the chunk by or chunk 1000, and now every model that you want to clean up gets chunked, gets chunk deletions, something like that. We can do that as well because this is also an interesting addition. So let me know in the chat what you want to see. Do you want to see me add something like this, or do you want to see me add like a psalm check here? So we are going to take a 5-minute break. I'll be back in a sec. Hi everybody, welcome back. I did a vote on which thing we were going to do next with our package, and I gave a choice between adding a feature and adding psalm tests. And the people right now in the chat, they want to see the psalm test. So let's do that. Let's start local screen sharing so you can see my screen. Let me move some things around here so I can see the chat here. There's a question here by David. Do you guys on Spatie update all projects of all your clients? For the projects that are kind of active, where people need more features, in most cases we do that. We upgrade to the latest version. We also have a lot of old projects that don't get upgraded, but they aren't that active. And for like projects we're actively working on, we actually don't have a lot because we work on long-term projects. I think at the moment we only have 2 or 3 projects running, and while we're developing them, and also after they get delivered and they stay active, we will upgrade them to the latest Laravel version. Yeah, that's an answer to your question, hopefully. Okay, let's do the psalm check thing. And I actually did it or added a psalm check in another package I am preparing recently, namely version 4 of Laravel event sourcing. And let me first run psalm here so I know that everything is fine. Scanning the files. So for the people that don't know this, Psalm is a static code analyzer. What does that mean? It will actually analyze your code without executing it. So it will infer types of your code, and if there's like errors that it can see in your code, it will actually give you a warning about that. Like for instance, like classes that you use that don't exist, or maybe you said that this a certain function did return a nullable type, and in the code where you call that function you don't do a null check, things like that. It can go pretty far. And I always thought, yeah, something like Psalm, it can't really understand Laravel very well because there is some magic, but actually it understands a lot of it. And the things that it doesn't understand, you can ignore it. You can ignore them. So for Psalm, you have like a configuration file, and you can add these exceptions. Like in this file, don't do this check because it's a little bit magical, and it's okay if you find this issue there. And actually, you don't need to have like many exceptions to the rule. So you can see that we only have these exceptions here for like a fairly complicated package. I think event sourcing is it has become one of our biggest packages, where I'm kind of proud of. And so yeah, even in a big package like that, you don't need to have like a lot of exceptions, but it takes a while to get the right configuration here. So that's what we are going to do. So what we have in our packages for Psalm are of course some dependencies. The Psalm itself, there's also a plugin for Laravel that makes it a little bit more happy with being in a Laravel project. We have a command here to run Psalm locally, and we also have a GitHub action to just run this on GitHub Actions. So our most recent Laravel and PHP package skeleton, it has those Psalm checks set up, but this is actually a fairly old package, so we need to copy some of the stuff over. Okay, so let's do that. So we need to have the Psalm workflow here. Okay, we need to let's. Oh wait, before I do that, I'm going to first commit everything so I can come back to this. Ah yeah, we did some scaffolding there, so I think that's the only file that was changed. Yeah, so I don't need that anymore. So yeah, I've committed everything that should have been committed. Okay, let's add something. So I want to have Psalm running on GitHub Actions. I want to have the Psalm configuration file. Yeah. I don't want to have any issue handlers here because I'll discover them by running it. And in our composer.json, I want to have that script. Composer.json. I want to have Psalm. It should be here. And then, of course, we should have the dependencies itself. So we have Vimeo Psalm here, and we'll have that plugin for Laravel, like that. Let's get the dependencies. So Casper has a question here. Considering the current time you're working on this, I was wondering, how do you balance work, package development, family, etc.? Well, today is a little bit of a special day because it was holiday today, so I spent an entire day with the family. And yeah, I just felt coding tonight. So yeah, this session is a nice way for me to relax and end the day a little bit. The children are asleep. My girlfriend is reading a book downstairs. So this is really, yeah, our relaxed time, and this is my way of relaxing. So yeah, that's how it was today. And in general, yeah, I think I also do some coding on this at the evening. It's basically a hobby as well. The open source packages. Yeah, I still do it a lot in the evening because I just like it. I just don't see it as work. I don't work on any client projects in the evening. I kind of hate doing that. But for stuff for my own, I do that in the evening as well because yeah, it's a hobby. Hey Drew, do you want to see that alias? Yeah, I can show it to you. It's in my dot files. It's which right? So it's very simple. Git reset hard and clean for like cleaning any left directories. Yeah, Samuel already guessed it. So it's this. It's this one. Okay, we got our dependencies here, right? So let's see what Psalm thinks of our code. Or maybe I should give another word of explanation on that configuration file here. We are going to say, hey, we want to analyze everything in the source directory. You can ignore everything from vendor. Another interesting one is here the error level 4. There are actually 4 error levels in Psalm, and 1 is the most strict one. And I get too many false positives if I have 1. So I think 4 is already enough for this stuff that I'm working on. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, and here we load that plugin, and here we are going to put in all the exceptions that we want to use. So With that out of the way, let's run Psalm for the very first time in this package and see what it does. Cheers. No errors found. No. Okay, this is like the first time that there were no errors, so this is a very short session, I guess. Let's maybe introduce an error so that you can see that it actually works. Wow, this is really the first time that it didn't find any errors. So these other issues, they are at the higher error levels. Maybe we can take a look at that in a sec. No, I'm already going to commit this because this is good. Okay, what can we do to get a Psalm thing? I think unused variables are already something here. So unused is 3. Let's run Psalm, so composer Psalm. And I guess I should get an error for that already. One error found, and here you can see, hey, there's an unused variable there. So that's the kind of check that it can do. Maybe let's try doing... Yeah, I want to return a boolean here. Let's see what happens if I return 2 here, right? Let's see if Psalm can check that. Scanning files. Yeah, and it says that. So we have an invalid return statement. So the 2 does not match the return type boolean. And we get another one here. Yeah, and then there's the inverse error, like this one is wrong because you returned this. So this is like the value that static analysis gives you. So yeah, this is actually quite nice that it already works. Let's see here. Let me put in the comments again. Oh, sorry, it's wrong. Like that. Maybe let's use error level 3. I've actually never, I think, done this, so I don't know what kind of errors I can expect now. No errors found on this level. You know what? Let's go to 2. Let's see. Composer Psalm. Like that. Ah yeah, okay, now we have something here. We have some property not set in constructor in the cleanup models command. So here on line 7, yeah, this is already, these are already some errors that we get because, yeah, it doesn't understand Laravel or the structure too much, so it complains about, yeah, Laravel not being in the constructor. It does not have a return value. It expects void. Yeah, but actually, I think behind this, yeah, I think it's actually more correct to have like void here, but I think it's kind of useless typing to have here. And I think you also can return like an integer here, so you have like an error code. You can return 2 here, and that will be the error code on the in the terminal. Invalid string class. String cannot be used as class. I think this is like a really false positive because this is actually valid PHP. Missing closure return type. Ah, yeah, so it wants me to have like a return type here, but I usually don't do that. Yeah, so these are, yeah, already a little bit too strict things. You know, I'm going to put, yeah, error level 4 here back because that's like the default that we use for our packages. Okay, so this was kind of short. Let me just show you in the other package, event sourcing, maybe one example of like a Psalm exception. Yeah, so this is how you can do it. So when you get an error, let me just remove something here. Maybe this one. I don't know actually how to comment something out in XML. If I run Psalm here now, takes a little while. Yeah, so now I have an error, an undefined this property fetch. So in this class, I use this handle event, and it didn't recognize that because there's some magic being used in that class, and I don't want Psalm to use this check in this file. And this is the way that you do it. You just put in the type of check here. And the cool thing is, because we have an XML schema, we can actually have like completion on XML, which is very, very nice, I think. So undefined this property fetch, so it's this one. And then we need to suppress all the errors for this file. So that's how you can do it. And you actually get like completion also for the things in here, which is kind of nice. Also, when I make an error here, I know it doesn't recognize this. I expected it to have like some kind of recognition for that as well. But maybe for type here, nah, okay, it doesn't have that. But in any case, this is how you can ignore some of the checks should you need it. What I'm going to do, maybe, yeah, this is already it for Psalm. Does anybody have any questions about the Psalm kind of thingy? Let me know. What I'm going to do next, maybe I can show you on GitHub that it actually ran the action. So on GitHub we have that Psalm check here as well. And you can see here when we run Psalm that we have no errors found here as well. So what I'm maybe going to do is already get like the badge here that I want to have in the README. Mid license, so I don't use scrutinizer anymore. Let's do the MIT license as maybe as the latest. And build status, this uses Travis, but we actually have like a test workflow as well. So let's grab that badge. Run tests, status badge here, and I'm going to call this tests. Let's put that first because that's kind of more important, I guess. And now we have the badges as well. Okay. Is there any reason why you are using Psalm instead of PHP Stan and Larastan? Well, we checked them. We also checked PHP-stan and Larastan out for our projects. And for our project, Psalm was, yeah, just, I think it was easier to set up for us, or we got less false positives than Larastan. And so we decided, yeah, we want to use the same for our packages. But I think that Psalm and Larastan are really close to each other, so I think you can't make like a wrong pick. Some people have said to me that Larastan is like more commits and it's more actively being developed. But in my experience, the amount of false positives you get with Psalm for Laravel project is slightly less, but your mileage may vary. I wouldn't advocate strongly for one of the two. Just use the one that you like best, I think. Let me check the time. Yeah, I think we can go for another thing. Maybe we can work on like that feature that I wanted here. So that we have like a default config here. And here we have a cleanup config. Like that. And that you can just use some things here which will be applied on every model. Yeah. Let's do that. There's another question here by Martin. Why do you use PSC sfixer? Yeah, I don't know what the intention of your question is. If you want to know what the tool does or why don't I use another one. Why I use the tool is to fix code styling issues automatically. And if your question was about why don't you use another one, which other one would you suggest? I think this one works very well for me, and that's why I use that one. Tom Janssen has another question. Won't using the cleanup config object cause all configs not to be cacheable anymore because there are closures in the cleanup config? That's a good question, actually. I wonder if Laravel can cache it if there's like an object. Yeah, but we have like closures inside of this. That's indeed a good one. Because it probably won't be able to cache it. Although I know that in Laravel 8 there are some improvements for like routes when you have like closures in your routes. In Laravel 8 it will be able to cache it. I don't know if that also applies with config. Assuming if it's a problem, how could we solve it? We now have two closures here. Maybe we should add some serialization behavior of our own to that class so that it can be serialized. I wonder if I should care about this right now. Maybe you should just implement it in like the best way and then just test it out how we can cache it. So Martin Baas has some explanation about the question. More specifically, do you have a centralized configuration for the CSS fixer so that the rules don't have to be modified on each package? Does it match the style of the rules inside the CI pipeline? First, that question, does it match the rules inside the CI pipeline? Yes, it does. it uses this configuration right here. So the GitHub action uses this, and the local configuration, it uses that as well. And do we have a centralized configuration? Right now we don't, because these rules don't change very much. But we could, I guess, do so by like maybe requiring a package where that CS config is in. But actually, I don't mind to have this duplicated, because we mostly don't modify this too much. So I think it's fine like it is now. Back to the config here. I think we're just going to implement it like I wanted to, and not care about the caching for now, and solve that a little bit later. You can cache closures using the closure serializer. Yeah, maybe we need to do something like that later on. Okay, the first thing here is that I don't like to have like these brackets used inside the config file. So I'm going to just add like a static constructor for this. So public static function new, it returns this, and it just returns a new static, and that's already it. Cleanup config new, right? So in our commands, I don't need that loop here. I actually thought that PHP stun would also pick up on this, on like methods that you don't need anymore. Okay, going to delete it for now. And here we do like a new cleanup config, right? I think we can just do use the one from the config. Use model cleanup, and just use the default config. And I guess all our tests should now pass. Yeah. And I think if I do something here now, let's do that continue. Well, I know I shouldn't set that myself. Which one I'm going to use? Nah, chunk is also a bad one. How can I? Oh yeah, let's do the chunk by. So chunk by 1 function, and here I'm going to say like don't ever continue. Return false, like that. And I'm thinking some of the tests should fail now. Undefined method, yeah, it was chunk, right? Chunk. And yeah, now some of the tests start failing. So yeah, with this change, we already accomplished what we wanted. We should write some tests for it, so we know for sure that it wants that we want this. But now there's something interesting. So imagine that we have a default here of chunk everything by 1000. But imagine that for some kind of model you don't want to chunk anymore. Right now in our configuration, we don't have any method to do that. So I'm thinking we should have some kind of reset kind of methods here, that we have like a do not chunk. So we can explicitly say for a single model, I do not want to have chunk behavior, even though the default is like that. But that's maybe a little bit boring to code, so I'm not going to do that now. I think I want to have one test where I make sure that the config where this config is being used. So let's test that and call it a day. So we are going to have like a cleanup test here. And public function, it will use the default config specified, the default cleanup config from the config file, like that, right? And I should actually set it to something. So we are going to override what is in the config file. So config, we are going to set something from model cleanup. Default cleanup configs might be a better key here. Default cleanup config. And we are going to set that to something, namely to default cleanup config is cleanup config new, and maybe we can do a chunk by one. Yeah. So we have a default cleanup config. Let's copy maybe something from the first test. So we're still going to do this older than 2 days. We're still going to assert that this is our result. But now we want to have like more delete queries, right? Because we are chunking everything by one. So everything gets deleted one by one. Like that. Let's see. There's still something wrong here. So argument one pass to cleanup must be an instance of cleanup config null given. That's kind of interesting. Did we do something wrong here? So config model cleanup. Let's see what's inside. So yeah, we have a default config, cleanup config. We have that continue while thing. So everything is set right, I think. Let's take another look at the error. It's been instance of model cleanup. Is this what we expect? Cleanup config. So this is null. Yeah, okay, default cleanup config, right? Thank God for tests. Yeah, and now this is what we expect. And yeah, now we have 6 delete queries because we deleted some records instead of 1. Cleanup test, this one. And these are now 6. And yeah, we have our extra feature here. So I kind of like it. So all our tests pass. Let's see if Psalm is also happy with these changes. And it still is, so that's kind of cool. We can commit it and just push it. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day. Maybe I could have also just figured out, yeah, if the config caching is really a problem and how we can solve that. But I'm already getting a little bit tired and I don't want to tackle something like that right now. If you already have like a good idea on how to tackle like the config of the caching, you can send in a PR if you want. I guess that we'll need to serialize this in some way, I guess, because of the closure. Yeah. Good. I'm also going to delete this because we don't need that anymore. Like that. Okay. I wonder if there's something small that I can still do. Let's just go over it for now. That implements. Let's do some commenting here. Maybe I want to have like the full namespace. Oh, sorry about that. Like that. In the corner of my eye, I see some comments. Maybe you could make the config factory class that will generate the config object and set the class name in the config. I don't know how it would solve that I would have like this in my config file. You know what, Mohammed? If you feel up to it, just create an issue or a PR where you demo what you think might work. Is it an idea to put the default config in a service provider and avoid the serialization issue? Yeah. But then again, how would you use like if a user wants to do this and have like the function here? I think having, yeah, I really want the user to be able to do something like this, I think. I don't see how putting that in the service provider would solve that issue. I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe. I'm thinking if it would work. Yeah, that might work. So if we have like app, or I think, yeah, this is an old guard, I think, function. I think the new kids use resolve now, right? Would that work? So let me think. So if Laravel would start up, it would resolve that, and then these things will get called. Instead of trying to... Would that actually work? Yeah, maybe. I actually don't know. Because we are going to resolve it, and the config file will hold an instance, and then if you try to cache config, then this will be an instance, and we still have like an instance with closure. So I'm not certain if that would solve the issue. Just gonna remove that for now. Just commit this. Let's as a final act go over some other files to see if we can do some quick polishments here. Does this actually have to be nullable? Yeah, because we set it to null. Oh yeah, we should still have a way of specifying like the column name. I'm going to do that later. This all seems good. Maybe this is better if you do that on another line. Continue while is always going to be something. All right. Don't think I need this anymore. Yep, that's gone. Let's do a reading of this one as well. I think that all looks good. Yeah, it's good. Ah yeah, this is a test that we still need to add, I think. I think right now the number of deleted records is wrong here for this event, because it will only report the last number of deleted records and not the total. If we have like multiple loops, we should yeah, we should summarize that. So not going to do that now, but I'm gonna add a comment. Number of deleted records should be the total number of deleted records. So sum of loops, something like that, plus add test. If you already want to do this, send a PR. I would be grateful for that. This is good. Gets cleaned up. Yeah, it's very, very simple. I think it's all good. Event is all so good. It's simple. We didn't change anything here. Let's take a look at the tests. Do some quick polishments if needed. This all looks good. Yeah. All good. We actually don't need this here. So we're still at green, right? Yep. Test case. Enable query lock. Queries. Some assertion methods. Yeah. And the factory is still good. Okay, I think this is good enough for now. So yeah, we're going to call it a day. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll probably do like maybe a third stream where we do some more polishment, maybe take care of that config issue. I hope that you liked this stream, and until next time, bye bye.